The words that should never have reached a child. The morning light over Windsor was soft and golden, the kind of quiet light that made everything feel safe and steady. Inside Adelaide Cottage, Princess Charlotte was already awake, sitting cross-legged on her bed while carefully tying a ribbon around a small charity card she had made herself. Today mattered.
I can't believe
it wasn't
she
just
said that
another
to me.
school day.
What?
It was the
That's
community
horrible.
charity
Are you
event,
okay?
and
Not
Charlotte
really.
had spent weeks preparing for it. Across the room, Princess Catherine watched her daughter with a soft smile, brushing Charlotte's hair
Are you
gently.
feeling better now?
You look very
Yes, Daddy,
focused,
much better.
Catherine said
Good.
warmly.
I'm right
I
here.
want everything to be perfect, Charlotte
hoping we'd
replied.
have a moment.
If we raise
I'm
enough
glad.
money,
It's been
maybe
too
more
long.
children can get better.
Yes.
Catherine kissed the top of her
There you
head.
go, sweetie.
Perfection
Thank you,
isn't
Mommy.
about everything
You're
being
welcome.
flawless.
It's yummy, right?
It's about doing
Yummy.
something with
Good
love.
girl.
Charlotte
What did you
nodded
think of the
seriously,
presentation?
storing the
It
words
was
away like
interesting,
treasure.
especially the part about
Downstairs,
space.
the house
Yeah, that was
slowly
my
filled
favorite.
with morning energy.
I'm so glad
Prince
we're
George
friends.
teased Louis
Me
about
too, today
mismatched
was the
socks.
best. Definitely.
William
Let's
checked
go
his
home.
schedule while pouring tea. It felt like a normal family morning, something William and Catherine had always worked hard to protect. On the drive to school, Charlotte held her charity card tightly. She wasn't nervous. She was proud. Blossomed the school event. The school hall buzzed with excitement. Handmade posters. Colorful balloons.
This is a wonderful
Parents
evening.
chatting.
It truly
Teachers
is. To
organizing
To our
tables.
beautiful family.
Charlotte stood
And to
behind her
cake.
small
Cheers.
fundraising table. Homemade baked treats, handmade cards,
this,
and a
Daddy.
donation box
The
decorated with
favorite
tiny hearts. Her best friend hugged her.
This part is
Your
very
table looks
important.
amazing.
I see, it's pretty.
Charlotte beamed.
Yes, just
I
like
just
you.
want to help.
Thank you.
For hours, everything felt perfect. Until it didn't. Fog the rumor. Near the refreshment area, one new parent, elegant,
that's why protecting
confident,
the
but
environment is
sharp-voiced,
so important for
spoke
our
quietly
future.
to a small group.
Excellent
Her
job.
tone wasn't loud, but it was
Send me
sharp enough to travel.
hospitals.
She looked so happy, the woman said. Strange, considering what her
Please,
mother
trust
supposedly
me.
did years ago.
I do, but this
Some
is
parents
difficult.
shifted
I know.
uncomfortably.
Just follow my lead.
Someone
Okay.
tried to change the
The
subject,
results are
but the
in.
damage had
And?
already
What
begun.
does it say?
Later,
wonderful
one child
news.
repeated a
that's
confused
wonderful.
version
Yay!
of what she heard. And eventually, it reached Charlotte. Broken heart the moment. It happened quietly near the window. Charlotte, someone said something about your mum? Charlotte frowned. What? The words were clumsy. Half understood. Half rumor. But the meaning was clear enough to hurt. Something about her mother, hurting someone long ago. Something about secrets. Something about truth adults didn't talk about. Charlotte didn't cry. She just went very quiet. And sometimes, that's worse. Crescent moon the drive home. She barely spoke. George noticed, but didn't push. William wasn't there yet, still finishing royal duties, but Catherine noticed immediately. Mummy, I'm tired, Charlotte said softly. Catherine kissed her forehead. Early night tonight then. Charlotte nodded. But inside, questions had started growing. Crescent moon the bedtime discovery. That night, William returned home later than usual. The house was quiet. He checked on each child. When he entered Charlotte's room, he noticed something wrong instantly. Her storybook was open. But she wasn't reading. She was staring at the ceiling. Hey, my love, William said softly. Normally she would smile. Tonight she didn't. Daddy, can people say things about you that aren't true? William's heart tightened. He sat beside her slowly. Yes, he said gently. Sometimes they do. Charlotte turned toward him. What if they say it about someone you love? William didn't answer immediately. Instead, he asked quietly. Did someone say something about Mummy? Charlotte nodded. And in that moment, William understood. Not just as a prince. Not as a future king. But as a father. Someone had put adult cruelty into a child's heart. And he would not let it stay there. The truth about kindness. The night air outside Adelaide Cottage was calm, but inside Prince William's mind, a storm had already begun forming. He sat beside Charlotte's bed long after she finished speaking, listening carefully to every word she struggled to explain. She didn't fully understand the rumor, only that it made her feel confused and protective of her mother at the same time. William kept his voice soft, steady, safe. Charlotte, he said gently, sometimes people repeat things they don't fully understand. And sometimes, sadly, people say things that aren't kind or fair. Charlotte looked down at her blanket. But they sounded like they believed it. William nodded slowly. That can happen too. She hesitated before asking the question that mattered most. Daddy, is Mummy a good person? The question didn't make William angry. It made him sad because a child should never have to ask it. He brushed her hair back from her face. Your mother is one of the kindest people I have ever known. And I'm not saying that because she's your mom. I'm saying it because I've seen how she treats people when no one is watching. Charlotte's eyes filled slightly, but she blinked quickly. She helps people because she wants to, not because she has to. Charlotte whispered. Then why would someone say something bad? William took a slow breath. Sometimes people misunderstand things. Sometimes they hear stories that aren't complete. And sometimes, people carry their own hurt and it comes out in the wrong way. Charlotte thought about that carefully. Like homework for the heart. Crescent moon the promise. William tucked her blanket around her. Here's something important to remember, he said quietly. You don't learn who someone is from rumors. You learn who they are from how they live. Charlotte nodded slowly. Like how Mummy talks to everyone at the hospital like they're important. Exactly like that. She finally relaxed into her pillow. Daddy? Yes. Can we talk to Mummy tomorrow? Not because I don't believe her. I just want to hear her. William smiled softly. That is a very brave and wise thing to ask. Within minutes, Charlotte was asleep. But William stayed a little longer. Because tonight, fatherhood mattered more than titles, duties, or history. Sunrise the morning conversation. The next morning, Catherine already sensed something was different. William found her in the kitchen early before the children came down. She heard something yesterday, he said quietly.
I can't believe she said
Catherine's
that to me.
face didn't show anger.
That's horrible.
It showed sadness.
Are you okay?
From
Not
school.
really.
William nodded. She asked if you were a good person. Catherine closed her eyes for a moment. Not because she was hurt. Because she hated the idea of Charlotte feeling uncertain. Okay, she said gently. Then we talked to her. Honestly. Age appropriate. But honestly. William nodded. That was one of the reasons he admired her so deeply. No panic. No defensiveness. Just calm strength. Bread breakfast, almost normal. At breakfast, Charlotte was quieter than usual. George noticed but didn't say anything. Louis talked enough for everyone. After the boys left for school transport, Catherine sat beside Charlotte at the table. Sweetheart, she said softly, Daddy told me you heard something that confused you yesterday. Charlotte looked nervous. I didn't want to hurt your feelings. Catherine reached across the table and held her hands. You asking questions will never hurt my feelings. Not asking questions is what can hurt. Charlotte relaxed slightly. Cherry blossom Catherine's truth. I'm going to tell you something very important, Catherine said gently. Adults sometimes have complicated histories. People meet at different times in life. Sometimes stories get told in ways that are not kind or not complete. Charlotte listened carefully. I met Daddy. We became friends. Then we fell in love. And we built this family. And every day since, I've tried to live in a way that makes the world a little kinder. Charlotte's voice was very small. So, you didn't hurt someone? Catherine shook her head. No, sweetheart. Life is more complicated than simple stories people tell. But I have always tried to act with kindness and honesty. Charlotte studied her mother's face. Not for perfection. For truth. And what she saw there was exactly what she had always known. Warmth. Calm. Love. She suddenly slid off her chair and hugged Catherine tightly. I believe you. Catherine hugged her back just as tightly. Thank you for asking me. Automobile the school response. Later that morning, William made a quiet call to school leadership. Not angry. Not demanding. But firm. This is about protecting children from adult gossip, he said. Not about reputation. About emotional safety. The head teacher fully agreed. By afternoon, the school prepared a new assembly topic. Kindness, truth, and responsible words. Not directed at anyone. But clear in message. School Charlotte's day, healing begins. At school, Sophie immediately hugged Charlotte. I'm sorry I told you. I didn't know what to do. Charlotte shook her head. I'm glad you told me. It's better than wondering. That was new. That was growth. During the assembly, teachers talked about how rumors can hurt people. How children can ask safe adults questions.
Are you feeling
How
better
kindness
now?
is stronger
Yes,
than
Daddy,
gossip.
much better.
Charlotte sat a
Good.
little taller.
I'm right here.
Not because she was royal. Because she understood something bigger now. Sun behind small cloud the shift. By afternoon break, something had changed. Charlotte wasn't carrying the rumor anymore. She had replaced it with something stronger. Truth plus love plus confidence. And children notice confidence. Even if they don't understand why. Crescent moon that evening. That night at bedtime, Charlotte smiled again when William came in. Better day? He asked. She nodded. Daddy? Yes. I think sometimes people say things because they don't know the whole story. William smiled. That's very wise. She yawned. And I think, the best way to show who you are, is just to keep being kind. William kissed her forehead. I think you're absolutely right. The strength of a family. The days following the assembly did not magically erase what had happened. Real life never works like that. But something important had changed, not just in Charlotte but around her. The school halls felt calmer. Kinder. More aware. And for the first time, Charlotte understood something many adults take years to learn. Kindness is not weakness. Kindness is strength. Sunrise Monday morning, a new kind of courage. Monday morning arrived gray and misty, the kind of quiet English morning that made everything feel reflective. Charlotte stood in front of her mirror, adjusting the small blue ribbon in her hair. Not because she needed it to look perfect, but because it reminded her of something steady. Downstairs, Catherine was packing lunches while Louis attempted to sneak extra biscuits into his bag. George rolled his eyes. That's not how lunch works, Louis. Charlotte watched them and smiled. Normal. Safe. Family. William noticed the smile, and silently felt relief settle in his chest. Automobile the drive to school. On the drive, Charlotte spoke more than she had all weekend. She talked about a new charity idea, or a hospital letter she wanted to write, a kindness board for school. William listened carefully, not interrupting, not pushing, just present, because sometimes healing sounds like normal conversation. School at school, quiet support. When Charlotte arrived, something subtle had changed. Teachers smiled a little warmer. Friends stayed a little closer. Not out of pity, out of protection. Sophie walked beside her into class. I like your ribbon, Sophie said. Charlotte smiled. Thanks. Simple moment. Huge meaning. The Kindness Project begins. During afternoon activities, Mrs. Henderson announced a new student project. Words Matter, the Kindness Initiative. Students could write anonymous kind notes, share appreciation messages, report bullying safely, start kindness mini projects. Charlotte raised her hand. Yes, Charlotte?
Here you go,
Mrs.
sweetie.
Henderson
Thank
said.
you, Mommy.
I think
You're welcome.
sometimes
it's yummy,
people
right?
don't mean to hurt
Yummy.
others,
Good girl.
but they still do. Maybe we could also teach people how to fix mistakes. The room went very quiet. Not because of status, because of wisdom. Mrs. Henderson nodded slowly. That's a wonderful idea. Cherry blossom after school, a difficult moment. Near pickup time, Charlotte saw the parent who had started the rumor. The woman stood across the courtyard. For a moment, Charlotte froze. Fear? No. Something different. Understanding. The woman looked uncomfortable. Avoiding eye contact. Charlotte didn't approach. She didn't need to. Because strength sometimes means not carrying someone else's negativity. Crescent Moon family dinner, real conversations. That evening, dinner was lively. Louis told a story that made everyone laugh. George argued passionately about football. Then Charlotte said quietly, I helped start a kindness project today. William looked proud. Catherine asked gently, what kind of project? Charlotte explained everything. When she finished, Catherine reached across the table and squeezed her hand. That's leadership, she said. Speech ballooned the parent conversation. Later that night, William and Catherine had a private conversation. Do we confront the parent? William asked. Catherine thought carefully. If she continues, yes. If she learns, maybe not. William nodded. That was Catherine.
What did you think of
Always
the
choosing growth when
It was
possible.
interesting, especially
Sun
the
behind
part
small
about
cloud,
space.
the school community
that was my
response.
favorite.
Within days, the kindness board filled. Messages like, thank you for helping me in math. You made me laugh when I was sad. You are brave. Charlotte read them all. Not because she needed praise. Because she wanted proof that kindness spreads. Glowing star Charlotte's moment of leadership. At Friday assembly, students shared kindness stories. Charlotte wasn't scheduled to speak. But Mrs. Henderson invited her. Charlotte stepped forward. Hands slightly shaking. But voice steady. I learned something this week, she said. Sometimes people say things that hurt. But that doesn't mean they are true. And it doesn't mean we should stop being kind. Silence. Then applause. Not loud, but deep. Crescent moon that night, the father moment. That night, William sat on Charlotte's bed again. Proud of you, he said. Charlotte shrugged shyly. I was scared. William smiled. Being brave doesn't mean not being scared. It means doing the right thing anyway. Charlotte thought about that. Then asked quietly, Daddy, do grown-ups still get hurt by words? William nodded. All the time. Charlotte pulled her blanket up thoughtfully. Then maybe grown-ups need kindness projects too. William laughed softly. Maybe they do. Cherry blossomed the emotional shift. What started as hurt had turned
I'm
into
so
something
glad we're
powerful.
friends. Me
Confidence,
too, today was
voice,
the best.
purpose.
Definitely, let's
Charlotte
go
no
home.
longer felt like someone rumors happened to. She felt like someone who could shape what happened next. The day after the assembly. The next morning, rain tapped softly against the classroom windows. Most students found rainy days boring. But Charlotte liked them. Rain made the world quieter. And right now, quiet helped her think. She sat at her desk, carefully writing something in her notebook. Not homework. A list. Ways to make someone feel safe. Listen. Don't laugh at mistakes. Ask if they're okay. Tell the truth kindly. Stand next to someone who is alone. Sophie leaned over. What are you writing? Charlotte turned the notebook slightly. Just ideas. Sophie smiled. They're good ones. The teachers notice. Mrs. Henderson noticed too. Not just the notebook. The way Charlotte was moving through the day. Calmer. Stronger. More aware of others. During reading period, she quietly placed a small sticky note on Charlotte's desk. You are helping more people than you know. Charlotte read it 3 times. Then folded it carefully into her pencil case. Treasures don't have to be expensive. Sometimes they're just words at the right moment. School the ripple effect. By lunchtime, something unexpected started happening. Other students began adding ideas to the kindness board. Not just compliments anymore. Solutions. Say sorry properly. Ask before sharing stories. Don't repeat things you don't understand. Charlotte stood in front of the board, heart warm. This was bigger than her now. And that was good. Cherry blossomed the friend conversation. Outside near the playground trees, Sophie spoke quietly. Does it still hurt, what you heard? Charlotte thought for a long moment. A little, she said honestly. But not the same way. How? Charlotte shrugged gently. Before, it felt like something was breaking. Now, it feels like something is growing. Sophie didn't fully understand. But she nodded anyway. Because sometimes support means listening, not solving. Sun behind small cloud, the difficult adult moment. That afternoon, as parents arrived, Charlotte again saw the parent who had started the rumor. This time, the woman looked directly at her. Not proudly. Not coldly. Uncertain. Charlotte gave a small polite nod. Not forgiveness. Not judgment. Just dignity. And sometimes dignity is the strongest message. The woman looked surprised. Then slightly ashamed. And walked away quietly. Crescent Moon home, the safe space. That evening, Charlotte sat beside Catherine while she prepared tea. Mummy? Yes, sweetheart. Do people ever regret saying things? Catherine paused. Yes, she said gently. Very often. Even if they don't say sorry? Yes. Charlotte absorbed that slowly. I don't want to carry angry feelings forever. Catherine turned and hugged her. That is one of the strongest choices a person can make. Speech balloon William's reflection. Later that night, William stood outside Charlotte's room after bedtime. Catherine joined him. She's growing up, William said quietly. Catherine nodded. But not losing softness, she said. William smiled. That's because of you. Catherine shook her head. That's because of all of us. Family wasn't about perfection. It was about support. Glowing Star, the community meeting. Later that week, the school hosted a parent community evening about respect, communication, digital rumors, responsible conversations. No names mentioned. But everyone understood why it mattered. Some parents spoke openly about how fast rumors spread, how children absorb adult behavior, how important community accountability is. It wasn't dramatic. It was mature. And real change often is. Cherry blossomed Charlotte's private realization. That night, lying in bed, Charlotte thought about everything. The hurt, the questions, the conversations, the kindness project. And she realized something important. Truth doesn't shout. Truth lives in how people live every day. She smiled into her pillow. Because she knew her family's truth. Not from stories. From life. Crescent Moon, the bedtime circle completes. William checked on her again. You're thinking, he said. Charlotte nodded. I think I learned something big. What's that? She looked at him seriously. You can't control what people say. But you can control what you become. William blinked once, emotional but steady. That, he said quietly, is something some people never learn. Charlotte yawned. Good night, Daddy. Good night, my brave girl. Cherry blossomed, the strength of a family, true meaning. Strength wasn't power, titles, reputation. Strength was honesty, kindness, facing hurt and choosing better. And Charlotte had learned it young. Not because life was perfect, Because her family stood together, turning hurt into purpose. Sunrise, the idea that would not let go. By the time the next week began, Charlotte was no longer just thinking about kindness. She was planning it, not in a childish, let's be nice way, but in a thoughtful, structured, purpose-driven way. It started quietly. Saturday morning. Rain tapping against the cottage windows again. Charlotte sat at the kitchen table with colored pens, poster paper, and her notebook titled, Words Can Heal Project. Catherine walked in and paused. Because Charlotte wasn't drawing randomly. She was designing. Sections. Ideas. Steps. What are you working on? Catherine asked softly. Charlotte looked up, eyes bright but serious.
This is a wonderful
I think
evening.
if
It
kindness
truly
helped
is. To
me,
us.
maybe
To
it
our
can help
beautiful
other people
family.
too.
And to Kate.
Catherine sat
Cheers.
beside her. Tell me. Cherry blossomed the plan. Charlotte explained carefully. The school kindness board was good. But what about letters for hospital children? Kind message cards for elderly community homes. Thank you notes for local helpers. Anonymous encouragement notes for students who feel alone. Catherine listened without interrupting. When Charlotte finished, Catherine said, This is how real change starts. One idea, then one action. Charlotte smiled. I want to call it the Kind Words Circle. Catherine nodded proudly. That's beautiful. Automobile the family support. At lunch, Charlotte presented her idea to William and her brothers. George asked practical questions. Who organizes it? Charlotte pointed to herself. Louis asked, Can I draw pictures for it? Yes, Charlotte said immediately. William leaned back slightly, studying her. Not like a royal figure. Like a father watching leadership form. You'll need help, he said gently. Charlotte nodded. I know. William smiled. Then you'll have it. School back at school, the proposal. Monday afternoon, Charlotte asked to speak with Mrs. Henderson. She brought her notebook, her poster, her plan. She spoke clearly, not rushing, not nervous. Mrs. Henderson listened, eyes growing softer and more impressed with every minute.
I want to study.
When Charlotte finished,
Maybe
Mrs. Henderson said, Charlotte, this isn't just a project. This is a movement. Charlotte blinked. A movement? Yes, because it changes how people think. The school expands the idea. Within days, the Kind Words Circle became an official school initiative. Students could write kindness letters, volunteer for community message deliveries, create positive message art. Teachers integrated kindness lessons into class discussions. And something unexpected happened. Parents started asking to help. Sun behind small cloud, the community joins. The local hospital agreed to receive monthly student message bundles. The elderly community center asked for student letter pen pals. Local shops offered to display kindness posters. Charlotte didn't see herself as leading it. She saw herself as starting it. But leadership had already found her. Cloud with rain, the turning point, the parent. One afternoon after school, the parent who had started the rumor approached Catherine privately. She looked nervous, genuine nervous. I owe you an apology, she said quietly. Catherine didn't rush to respond. The woman continued. I repeated something I shouldn't have. I didn't think about how it could reach your daughter. I am deeply sorry. Catherine studied her carefully, then said simply, Thank you for saying that. No lecture. No coldness.
This part is
just
very
dignity.
important.
The
I see
woman's
it
shoulders
pretty.
relaxed
Yes,
slightly,
just like
relief
Thank
mixed with
you.
regret. Crescent moon. Charlotte learns about the apology. That night, Catherine told Charlotte gently. Charlotte listened quietly. Did she mean it? Charlotte asked. I believe she did, Catherine said. Charlotte thought for a long moment, then nodded. Then I hope she feels better, after saying sorry. Catherine hugged her. Because forgiveness, when chosen, is powerful. Glowing Star, the public kindness event. 2 weeks later, the school hosted its first Kind Words Community Day. Children presented letters, artwork, stories about kindness, volunteer plans. Charlotte stood on stage again. This time not shaking, not nervous, just steady. Sometimes, she said into the microphone, kindness doesn't stop bad things from being said, but it stops bad things from growing. The room went silent. Then applause. Stronger this time. Cherry Blossom. William's emotional realization. That night, William stood in the doorway of Charlotte's room again, watching her sleep, and he realized something deeply personal. He had wanted to protect her from the world, but she was learning to improve it, and that was better. Crescent moon. Father and daughter, the near final lesson. When Charlotte woke slightly and saw him. Daddy? Yes. Did I do okay? William sat beside her. You did more than okay. How? You turned something painful into something that helps other people. Charlotte smiled sleepily. Then it was worth it. William blinked slowly, emotional again. Yes, he whispered. It was. Cherry Blossom, the purpose is set. Charlotte was no longer just recovering. She was building. Not because she was royal, because she was kind. And kindness, when protected, supported, and believed in, becomes legacy. What William learned at bedtime. Sunrise, the quiet after the storm. By the time early spring began touching Windsor with warmer light, life at Adelaide Cottage had settled into a new rhythm. Not the old normal. A stronger normal. The kind word circle was now part of school life. Community volunteers were helping expand it. Letters from hospital children were arriving weekly, colorful drawings, thank you notes, and sometimes messages that made adults quietly wipe their eyes. Charlotte kept every single one in a memory box beside her bed. Not because she needed reminders of success, because she wanted reminders of connection. The change William could see. William noticed small things. Charlotte listened more carefully when others spoke. She noticed when someone felt left out. She asked deeper questions. She forgave faster, but thought more carefully about trust. She was still a child. Still laughed loudly with Louis. Still argued playfully with George. Still raced across the garden when no one was watching. But something deeper had settled inside her.
Excellent job.
Resilience. And William understood something important. Resilience doesn't come from never being hurt. It comes from learning you can survive hurt and grow anyway. Cherry Blossom, the Community Recognition Day. Late March brought something unexpected. The school invited families and community members for a recognition afternoon, celebrating student leadership, kindness initiatives, and community connection. Charlotte didn't know she would be mentioned. She sat beside Sophie, whispering jokes and sharing biscuits. Then Mrs. Henderson stepped to the front. Sometimes leadership is loud, she said. And sometimes leadership is quiet. Sometimes it begins with one child deciding the world should be softer and braver at the same time. Charlotte froze slightly. Sophie grabbed her hand and squeezed. Mrs. Henderson continued. The kind word circle began with one idea. But it now belongs to all of us. The applause that followed wasn't overwhelming. It was warm. Proud. Charlotte didn't stand dramatically. She simply smiled, small and humble. And that made it stronger. Sun behind small cloud, the parent who changed. After the event, the parent who had started the rumor approached Charlotte directly for the first time. She knelt slightly to Charlotte's level. I want to say something to you, she said gently. Charlotte listened. I said something once that helped cause hurt. I am very sorry for that. Charlotte studied her face, not searching for perfection, searching for truth. Then Charlotte said quietly, I think people can learn. The woman nodded, eyes shining slightly. Yes, I hope so. Charlotte smiled politely. Not best friends, not enemies, just two people choosing better. Crescent moon, the night that became the lesson. That evening, after dinner and homework and normal family noise, bedtime arrived like always. William knocked gently on Charlotte's door. Come in, she called. She was sitting cross-legged on her bed, sorting hospital letters. He sat beside her. They read one together, a child thanking her for a drawing and saying it made a scary hospital night easier. William swallowed slightly. Charlotte, he said quietly. Yes. I think you taught me something. She blinked. Me? Yes. Speech ballooned, the bedtime conversation that changed William. When you first asked me if your mom was a good person, I wanted to protect you from every hard thing in the world. Charlotte looked down at the letter in her hands. But you didn't, she said. No, William said. Because I realized something. I can't protect you from every hurt, but I can help you learn how to face it. Charlotte nodded slowly. That's better, she said simply. William smiled softly. Yes, it is. Cherry Blossom, Charlotte's final child wisdom.
Please,
Charlotte yawned, then said sleepily,
but this is difficult.
I think hurt feelings are like
Just
rain.
follow my lead. All right.
William raised an eyebrow. How? They fall. They feel cold. But if you don't let them stay forever, things grow after. William felt emotion rise in his chest. Because that was something even many adults don't understand. Crescent moon, the father's realization. After Charlotte fell asleep, William sat beside her bed for several minutes, thinking about titles, history, public life, and private moments. And he realized, being a good father wasn't about building walls around his children. It was about building strength inside them. Sunrise, the final family moment. The next morning, breakfast was loud again. Louis spilled juice. George argued about school sports. Catherine laughed. Charlotte told a story about a new hospital letter friend. William watched them all and felt something steady settle inside him. Not pride. Not relief. Gratitude. Glowing star, the legacy that began quietly. The kind words circle expanded slowly over months. Other schools asked about it. Community centers copied it. Not because it was royal. Because it worked. Because kindness spreads when people see it working. Cherry Blossom, the final bedtime scene. Months later. One warm summer evening, William tucked Charlotte into bed. "Daddy," she said. "Yes." "Do you think the world can get kinder?" William thought carefully. Then answered honestly. "Yes. But only if people like you keep choosing to make it that way." Charlotte smiled. "Then I will." Cherry Blossom, final message. Some stories are about power. Some are about fame. But the strongest stories are about something quieter. A child choosing kindness after hurt. A parent choosing guidance over control. A family choosing truth over fear. And sometimes, the biggest lessons are learned in the smallest moments. At bedtime.